Most people won't fail in 2026 because they lack talent. They won't fail because they lack money. They won't even fail because they lack opportunity. They'll fail because they make the same invisible mistakes over and over again without realizing the cost until it's too late. 2026 will not reward effort alone. It will not reward hustle without direction. It will not reward intelligence without intention. This year will reward clarity, discipline, and purpose. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you don't learn what to avoid in 2026, no amount of motivation will save you. Stay with me until the end, because the final mistake is the one that silently destroys futures, relationships, and legacies, and most people don't see it coming until it's already done its damage. Most people move through life chasing goals without ever pausing to ask themselves a deeper question. They wake up every morning driven by a list of desires, ambitions, and expectations handed to them by society, family, or comparison. They say they want more money because money feels like security. They say they want success because success feels like respect. They say they want freedom because freedom feels like escape. But very few people stop long enough to ask why those things matter to them personally. And that is where the real problem begins. When you don't know why you want something, your motivation is fragile. It depends on mood, circumstances, and external validation. The moment progress slows, doubt creeps in. The moment obstacles appear, enthusiasm fades. The moment someone else seems ahead of you, comparison steals your focus. Goals that are not rooted in purpose quickly become burdens. They start to feel heavy instead of energizing. And over time, what once excited you begins to exhaust you. Starting with what you want feels logical. It feels practical. It feels measurable. You can put numbers on it, timelines around it, and milestones beside it. But what you want is only the surface. It is the visible part of a much deeper truth. Without understanding why you want it, the goal has no anchor, it floats. And anything that floats can drift away the moment the wind changes. When you start with why, something different happens. Your goal stops being just an outcome and becomes an expression of who you are. The work stops being a chore and starts becoming meaningful. The struggle stops feeling pointless and starts feeling necessary. Purpose doesn't eliminate difficulty, but it gives difficulty meaning. And meaning is what keeps people going when motivation disappears. In 2026, the world will demand more than hard work. Everyone is working hard. Everyone is busy. Everyone is chasing something. Effort alone will no longer be enough to stand out or to stay consistent. Clarity will outperform effort because clarity creates focus and focus creates momentum. When you are clear on your why, you don't need to be pushed. You pull yourself forward. You don't need constant encouragement. Your reason becomes your fuel. People who know their reason move differently. They make decisions faster because they have a filter. They say no more often because they know what matters. They recover from setbacks quicker because they understand what they are building and why it's worth continuing. They don't quit at the first sign of discomfort because discomfort is no longer a signal to stop. It's a signal that they are stretching towards something meaningful. On the other hand, people who only know their goals often burn out. They chase milestones, hit one and feel empty, or worse, they miss one and feel like failures. Without a why, every delay feels personal. Every obstacle feels unfair. Every sacrifice feels too expensive. Over time, frustration replaces excitement and discipline collapses under pressure. Think about how many people reach a goal they once dreamed of and still feel unsatisfied. The money comes, but peace doesn't. The title comes, but fulfillment doesn't. The freedom arrives, but direction is missing. This happens not because the goal was wrong, because the reason behind it was never defined. Without a why, success has no context, and success without context feels hollow. When you define your why, your goals stop being about proving something to the world and start being about honoring something within yourself. You no longer chase success to impress others. You pursue growth because it aligns with who you want to become. That shift changes everything. It changes how you work. It changes how you respond to failure. It changes how you measure progress. In 2026, resilience will be more valuable than talent. And resilience is born from purpose. Talent can get you started, but purpose keeps you going when talent is tested. People who know why they do what they don't crumble when plans change. They adapt. They don't panic when results are slow. They persist because their commitment is not tied to convenience. It's tied to meaning. When your why is clear, even small actions feel significant. Even boring tasks feel connected to something larger. Even setbacks feel like part of the journey instead of the end of the road. You stop asking, is this worth it? Because you already know the answer. And that certainly gives you an edge in a world full of hesitation. Without a why, it's easy to climb ladders that lead nowhere. You can spend years advancing in a direction that doesn't fulfill you simply because it looked impressive or promised rewards. You can follow paths chosen by others and wake up one day realizing you've been living someone else's definition of success. And the most painful part is not the wasted time. It's the realization that you never asked yourself what truly mattered to you. Defining your why doesn't happen overnight. It requires honesty, it requires reflection. It requires courage to admit that some goals you're chasing may not actually be yours. But once you find it, everything aligns, your decisions become simpler, your energy becomes more focused, your work becomes more intentional. In 2026, those who start with why will not need constant motivation. They will have something stronger, conviction. And conviction is what allows people to keep going when the excitement fades, when the results are slow, and when the path is uncertain. Because when you know why you're doing something, quitting no longer feels like an option. It feels like a betrayal of who you are becoming. Being busy has become a badge of honor. People wear exhaustion like proof of importance. Full calendars, endless notifications, and back-to-back tasks create the comforting illusion that something meaningful must be happening. When your days are packed from morning to night, it feels productive, it feels responsible, it feels like progress. But business is often nothing more than noise, and noise can be incredibly distracting. You can spend every hour doing something and still end the day further from where you intended to go. Movement is easy to confuse with momentum because movement is visible. You can see emails being sent, meetings being attended, messages being answered, and tasks being checked off. Momentum, on the other hand, is quieter. It's not always obvious in the moment, but it's measurable over time. Momentum moves you closer to a meaningful outcome. Movement simply keeps you occupied. And in 2026, the difference between the two will determine who advances and who stays stuck. It's entirely possible to be busy all day and still move backward. When your attention is scattered, your energy is diluted. Every distraction takes a small piece of your focus, and eventually there's not enough left for the work that actually matters. You react instead of create. You respond instead of design. Days begin to blur together, filled with activity but lacking direction. At the end of the week, you feel tired but unsatisfied because deep down you know that effort without intention doesn't equal progress. The world of 2026 will not reward constant motion. It will reward clarity and focus. Information will be everywhere. Opportunities will be endless. Demands on your time will increase, not decrease. In that environment, the ability to choose what not to do will become more valuable than the ability to do everything. Focus will be the currency of progress, and those who protect it will outperform those who waste it. Saying yes feels polite. It feels cooperative. It feels like keeping doors open. But every yes carries a hidden cost. It takes time, energy, and attention away from something else. When you say yes to everything, you slowly say no to the things that matter most. Burnout doesn't usually come from one big responsibility. It comes from 1,000 small ones that were never meant to be yours. In 2026, burnout will not be a sign of effort. It will be a sign of poor boundaries. Those who break through will be the ones who learn to say no without guilt. No to distractions that look urgent but aren't important. No to commitments that don't align with their direction. No to habits that keep them busy but unfulfilled. This isn't about doing less for the sake of comfort. It's about doing less so that what you do actually counts. Progress has never been about doing more. Doing more often leads to dilution. When everything is a priority, nothing truly is. Progress is about identifying the few actions that create the greatest impact and committing to them with discipline. It's about showing up consistently for the work that moves the needle, even when that work is repetitive, slow, or unglamorous. Consistency doesn't look impressive day to day, but over time it becomes unstoppable. Many people avoid focus because focus is uncomfortable. Focus requires saying no, it requires boredom, it requires patience. Business, on the other hand, feels exciting. It gives instant feedback. It creates the sense that you're needed and involved. But excitement fades, and when it does, all that remains is exhaustion without results. Focus may feel limiting at first, but in reality, it's freeing. It removes decision fatigue. It simplifies your day. It gives your effort a clear direction. In 2026, the people who succeed will not necessarily be the most talented or the hardest working. They will be the most intentional. They will design their days around outcomes instead of obligations. They will measure progress by results, not by how tired they feel at the end of the day. They will understand that rest is not a reward for finishing everything, because everything is never finished. Rest is a requirement for sustained performance. When you stop confusing busy with progress, your perspective changes. You begin to ask better questions. Instead of asking, how much can I do today? You ask, what actually matters today? Instead of filling every gap in your schedule, you protect space for thinking, planning, and deep work. You realize that speed without direction leads to burnout, while focus with patience leads to growth. The most powerful shift happens when you recognize that your attention is limited. You cannot give your best to everything, so you must choose where your best belongs. This choice is not always comfortable, and it may disappoint some people. But disappointing others is often the price of not disappointing yourself. In a world that constantly demands more, choosing less becomes an act of leadership. Consistency is what turns focus into results. One focused hour a day, repeated over months, will outperform 10 scattered hours filled with interruptions. Small intentional actions compound. They build momentum quietly, steadily, and reliably, and momentum, once established, makes progress feel easier because each step builds on the last. As 2026 unfolds, business will tempt you. It will promise importance and validation. But progress will require something different. It will require courage to slow down, clarity to choose wisely, and discipline to stay consistent. When you stop measuring your days by how full they are and start measuring them by what truly moved forward, you reclaim control. And in that control, real progress begins. Most people misunderstand confidence. They treat it like a prerequisite, something you must possess before you begin. They believe confidence is a feeling that arrives first and then gives them permission to act. So they wait until they feel ready. They wait until fear disappears. They wait until uncertainty fades. And in that waiting, months pass, years pass, opportunities pass, while their potential remains untouched. Confidence has never been the starting point. It has always been the result. It is built, not discovered. It is earned through experience, not imagined through thought. Yet many people convince themselves that action requires confidence, when in reality, confidence requires action. This misunderstanding keeps more people stuck than failure ever could. Readiness is one of the greatest illusions of progress. Feeling ready feels responsible. It feels cautious. It feels smart. But readiness is rarely something you feel in advance. It is something you recognize in hindsight. You only feel ready after you've done the thing once, stumbled through it, survived it, and realized you're still standing. Readiness is built on proof, and proof only comes from doing. When people wait for confidence, they are often waiting for certainty. They want guarantees. They want assurance that it will work, that they won't look foolish, that they won't fail. But certainty is not how growth works. Growth lives in uncertainty. Every meaningful step forward requires entering unfamiliar territory. If you wait until you feel confident, you are waiting until growth is no longer necessary, and that moment never comes. Fear is not a sign that you are incapable. Fear is a sign that you are standing at the edge of something new. It shows up whenever you are about to expand beyond what you already know. The mistake is believing that fear means stop. Fear does not mean stop. Fear means pay attention. Fear means this matters. Fear means you are about to learn something important about yourself. In 2026, the people who move ahead will not be the ones with the loudest confidence or the boldest words. They will be the ones willing to act while their voice shakes, while their hands tremble, while their mind is full of doubt. Courage will become more valuable than confidence because courage is what creates confidence in the first place. Those who act with courage build evidence. Every small action becomes proof that they can handle discomfort. Every attempt becomes a reference point they can look back on. Over time, these moments stack. Confidence grows quietly, almost invisibly, until one day they realize they no longer hesitate the way they used to. Not because fear disappeared, but because they learned they could move forward with fear present. Those who wait, however, stay exactly where they are. Not because they lack potential, but because potential unused does not grow. Waiting feels safe, but safety is often just stagnation disguised as patience. The comfort zone does not shrink on its own. It expands only when challenged. And when it isn't challenged, it becomes smaller relative to the world moving forward around you. The future does not belong to the fearless because fearlessness is a myth. Everyone feels fear when stepping into the unknown. The difference is not the absence of fear, but the relationship with it. Some people let fear become a decision maker. Others let it become a signal. One group stays still. The other moves forward. Every confident person you admire was once uncertain. Every leader who seems composed once questioned themselves. Every expert once felt like an imposter. What separates them is not talent or luck. It is the willingness to act before confidence arrived. They did not wait to feel ready. They trusted that readiness would be built along the way. Action changes your identity. When you take a step forward, even a small one, your brain updates its understanding of who you are. You are no longer someone who wants to try. You become someone who tries. That shift is powerful. Confidence is not just belief. It is identity reinforced through behavior. You don't become confident by thinking differently. You become confident by acting differently again and again. In 2026, speed will matter, but not reckless speed. It will be the speed of decision, not perfection. Those who move will learn faster. Those who learn faster will adapt faster. Those who adapt faster will stay relevant. Waiting for confidence slows this entire process. It delays learning. It delays growth. It delays momentum. Mistakes will happen. Awkward moments will happen. Failures will happen. But none of these are as damaging as never starting. Failure teaches, and action only reinforces fear. Each time you avoid action because you don't feel confident, you train your mind to associate fear with retreat. Over time, that pattern hardens and hesitation becomes your default response. Confidence built through action is durable. It doesn't collapse under pressure because it's grounded in experience. It doesn't depend on praise or external validation because it comes from knowing you've handled difficulty before. This kind of confidence doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you calm. It doesn't make you loud. It makes you steady. When you move forward despite fear, something unexpected happens. Fear loses its authority. It doesn't disappear, but it no longer controls your decisions. You realize that discomfort is survivable, that uncertainty is manageable, that you are more capable than your doubts suggested. And with each step, confidence grows, not as a feeling you chase, but as a byproduct of who you are becoming. The people who will thrive in 2026 will not be waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of themselves. They will move with imperfect confidence, knowing that clarity comes from motion, not meditation. They will understand that confidence follows action the way strength follows resistance. The future belongs to those who take the step before they feel ready, who speak before their voice feels steady, who begin before their confidence arrives. Because by the time others feel ready, the courageous have already moved and confidence has already found them. Approval is one of the most powerful forces shaping human behavior. From a young age, many people learn to associate acceptance with safety and rejection with risk. Praise feels good. Applause feels reassuring. Being liked feels like confirmation that you are on the right path. Over time, this natural desire for connection slowly turns into dependence. Approval becomes addictive, not because it is meaningful, but because it is immediate. It gives a quick emotional reward. Even when it pulls you away from who you truly are, the danger is that validation often replaces alignment. Instead of asking, is this right for me? People ask, will this be accepted? Decisions begin to revolve around reactions rather than values. Choices are shaped by how they will look, not by what they mean. And slowly, almost invisibly, identity starts to erode. When your sense of direction depends on applause, you begin to adjust yourself for every audience. What starts as flexibility turns into self-betrayal. Alignment, on the other hand, is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not seek attention. Alignment is the internal agreement between your actions and your values. It is the feeling of integrity when what you do matches what you believe. Alignment does not always feel good in the moment, but it feels right over time. And that distinction matters, especially in a world that constantly invites you to perform rather than to stand firm. If your decisions depend on applause, you will never feel settled. Praise is temporary and opinions change quickly. What earns approval today may invite criticism tomorrow. When you chase validation, you give others the power to define your worth. You become reactive, adjusting your behavior to maintain acceptance. This creates anxiety because approval is something you can never fully control. No matter how much you receive, it is never enough to feel secure. Trying to please everyone comes at a cost. The more people you try to satisfy, the further you drift from yourself. You dilute your voice, you soften your convictions, you hesitate when you should move forward and move forward when you should pause. Over time, this constant adjustment creates inner conflict. You look successful on the outside, but internally you feel disconnected, restless, and unsure why. In 2026, the strongest people will not be the loudest. Leadness often masks insecurity. Constant sharing, constant explaining, constant proving are signs of a need to be seen. Strength will belong to those who are grounded, those who are clear about what they stand for, and are not shaken by every opinion that passes by. Grounded people do not need to convince everyone. They move forward quietly, steadily, and with intention. When your actions align with your values, something powerful happens. Decision-making becomes simpler. You no longer debate every choice endlessly because you have a compass. You may still feel uncertainty, but you don't feel torn. Even when others disagree, you feel at peace because you know why you chose what you chose. Alignment creates internal stability, and internal stability allows you to handle external pressure without losing yourself. Needing permission is often a sign of misalignment. When you are unsure of your values, you look outward for confirmation. You wait for approval before acting. You hesitate until someone reassures you that it's acceptable. But when you are aligned, permission becomes irrelevant. You still listen. You still learn. But you do not outsource your authority. You move forward because your actions make sense to you, not because they are applauded. Purpose does not ask for validation. Purpose asks for commitment. Commitment is not glamorous. It does not come with instant rewards. Often, it requires standing alone, especially in the early stages. Commitment means choosing what matters even when it is unpopular, misunderstood, or inconvenient. Validation seeks comfort. Commitment seeks integrity. Many people confuse being liked with being respected, and respect with being fulfilled. But fulfillment comes from living in alignment, not from collecting approval. You can be praised and still feel empty. You can be criticized and still feel whole. The difference lies in whether you are living according to your values or performing according to expectations. In a world driven by likes, shares, and constant feedback, the pull toward validation will be stronger than ever. Opinions will be louder. Comparisons will be unavoidable. The temptation to adjust yourself for acceptance will be constant. That is why alignment will be such a rare and powerful advantage. Those who know who they are will not be easily swayed. Those who know what they stand for will not be easily distracted. Alignment requires honesty. It requires admitting when something no longer fits, even if it once brought praise. It requires letting go of roles that earn approval but drain your energy. It requires choosing depth over visibility and substance over applause. This is not an easy path, but it is a stable one. When you live in alignment, criticism does not destroy you. Praise does not inflate you. You become less reactive and more intentional. You listen without losing yourself. You adjust without abandoning your core. This steadiness is what allows people to lead, create, and contribute in meaningful ways without burning out or losing direction. Approval fades quickly. Alignment endures. Applause stops the moment you leave the room. Integrity stays with you when no one is watching. In the long run, the people who matter most will not be impressed by how pleasing you were. They will respect how consistent you were with what you believed. Choosing alignment over validation is not about rejecting others. It is about not rejecting yourself. It is about deciding that your values are not negotiable, even when approval is tempting. In 2026, this choice will separate those who feel lost from those who feel grounded, those who perform from those who lead, and those who chase acceptance from those who live with purpose and commitment. No one grows in isolation, even though many people like to believe they do. Independence is often celebrated as strength, but complete self-reliance is an illusion. Every belief you hold, every perspective you adopt, and every decision you make has been influenced by someone else at some point. You don't rise alone, and you don't fall alone either. The direction of your life is shaped quietly and consistently by the people you allow to shape your thinking. The voices you listen to matter more than most people realize. Over time, those voices become internal. The advice you hear repeatedly becomes the lens through which you see the world. Encouragement can expand your sense of what's possible. Doubt can shrink it. Optimism can open doors. Cynicism can close them before you ever try. The people around you don't just influence how you feel, they influence how you think. And how you think determines how you act. Beliefs are not random. They are formed through repetition and reinforcement. When you surround yourself with people who constantly complain, you begin to see problems everywhere. When you surround yourself with people who take responsibility, you begin to look for solutions. When you listen to people who play small, you start to question your own ambition. When you listen to people who challenge limits, your definition of what's possible expands. The beliefs you adopt shape your future long before your actions ever do. In 2026, isolation will be tempting. Technology makes it easy to stay connected superficially while remaining intellectually alone. You can consume endless content without ever engaging in meaningful dialogue. You can stay within echo chambers that reinforce what you already believe. This kind of isolation feels comfortable, but it quietly weakens you. Without challenge, your thinking stagnates. Without feedback, blind spots grow. Without community, resilience fades. Community is not about being surrounded by people all the time. It is about being connected to people who help you think better. Strong communities don't exist to make you feel good. They exist to make you better. They provide perspective when you are stuck in your own head. They offer accountability when your discipline slips. They remind you of who you are when doubt starts to take over. Choosing the right people is not about finding those who always agree with you. Agreement feels validating, but it rarely produces growth. Growth requires friction. It requires being challenged in ways that make you uncomfortable but more aware. People who challenge your thinking don't do so to undermine you, they do so to expand you. They ask questions you avoid. They point out patterns you can't see. They hold up mirrors when you would rather look away. Comfortable conversations are easy. Honest conversations are rare. Comfort tells you what you want to hear. Honesty tells you what you need to hear. In 2026, honest conversation will become a competitive advantage. Those who invite truth into their lives will grow faster than those who protect their ego. Those who can handle disagreement without defensiveness will develop wisdom, not just information. Neglecting the people who shape your thinking doesn't always look like isolation. Sometimes it looks like staying surrounded by the wrong voices. It looks like keeping people close who reinforce your excuses. It looks like avoiding people who challenge you because their questions feel threatening. Over time, this creates an environment where growth slows and self-deception thrives. You don't just need supporters, you need sharpeners. Supporters encourage you when things are hard. Sharpeners refine you when you're off track. Both are important, but many people surround themselves only with supporters because sharpening can feel uncomfortable. Yet without sharpening, potential remains dull. The right people help you see not only who you are, but who you could become. In moments of difficulty, the people around you matter even more. When setbacks happen, some voices will push you toward blame and bitterness. Others will push you toward learning and responsibility. The direction you move in those moments often depends on who you listen to first. Weak circles amplify fear. Strong circles cultivate perspective. Community also provides something individual effort cannot: shared strength. When motivation dips, borrowed belief can carry you forward. When clarity fades, collective wisdom can restore direction. When confidence wavers, someone else's certainty can remind you of your own. This is not dependence, it is interdependence. It is how progress has always happened. In 2026, the myth of doing everything alone will continue to break down. Complexity will increase, challenges will become more layered. No single perspective will be enough. Those who intentionally build relationships that stretch their thinking will adapt faster and make better decisions. Those who isolate themselves or stay within comfortable circles will struggle to keep up. Choosing people who challenge your thinking requires humility. It requires admitting that you don't have all the answers. It requires being open to correction without seeing it as an attack. But humility is not weakness, it is the doorway to growth. When you stop defending what you know and start expanding what you understand, progress accelerates. Growth does not come from comfort because comfort protects the familiar. Growth comes from honest conversation because honesty confronts reality. Reality, even when uncomfortable, is where change begins. The people you surround yourself with either help you face reality or help you avoid it. One leads to progress, the other leads to stagnation. As you move forward, the question is not how many people you know, but whose voices you allow to shape your thinking. Every conversation is a contribution to your future. Every influence leaves a mark. Choose wisely, because the people you listen to today are quietly shaping the person you will become tomorrow. Quick wins are tempting because they deliver immediate feedback. They feel rewarding, visible, and satisfying. A short burst of success creates the illusion of progress and gives the mind a sense of achievement. In a world that moves fast and celebrates instant results, quick wins are often mistaken for real growth. But what feels good in the moment does not always serve you in the long run. Meaningful progress lasts longer precisely because it is not rushed. Short-term wins appeal to emotion. They offer comfort, recognition, and relief. They make effort feel worthwhile right away. But they often come at a hidden cost. When decisions are driven by immediate payoff, long-term consequences are ignored. Skills are underdeveloped. Relationships are treated as transactions. Systems are bypassed instead of built. Over time, these shortcuts weaken the foundation that real success depends on. In 2026, shortcuts will cost more than patience. The margin for error will be smaller. Trust will be harder to earn and easier to lose. Reputations will be built and destroyed faster than ever. Those who prioritize speed over substance may see early results, but they will struggle to sustain them. What rises quickly without a foundation often collapses just as fast. Instant gratification trades future success for present comfort. It prioritizes ease over endurance. It chooses what feels good now over what builds strength later. This mindset creates cycles of dependency where motivation depends on immediate rewards. When the rewards slow down, so does the effort. Over time, this erodes discipline and weakens resilience. The long game requires a different way of thinking. It values patience over urgency and depth over display. Playing the long game means making choices today that may not pay off immediately but compound over time. It means investing in skills that take years to master. It means nurturing relationships without expecting instant returns. It means building systems that work quietly in the background while others chase attention. The most powerful people understand that real impact is rarely visible in the beginning. They are comfortable working without applause. They are willing to be underestimated while they prepare. They know that consistency applied over time creates momentum that no shortcut can replicate. They focus on becoming reliable rather than impressive. Trust is not built through grand gestures. It is built through repeated small actions. Showing up when you said you would. Doing quality work even when no one is checking. Keeping your word when it would be easier not to. These actions do not create instant recognition, but they create a reputation that lasts. In the long run, trust becomes a multiplier. It opens doors that talent alone cannot. Skills develop the same way. Mastery is not the result of intensity alone, but of repetition. It comes from showing up when progress feels slow and improvement is barely noticeable. Short-term thinking looks for hacks and shortcuts. Long-term thinking commits to fundamentals. One creates temporary advantage, the other creates lasting capability. Systems are another hallmark of long-term thinking. Systems reduce reliance on motivation and willpower. They create structure that supports consistency. While others rely on bursts of effort, those playing the long game rely on processes that work even on difficult days. Systems don't look exciting, but they are what makes sustained progress possible. Working when no one is watching is one of the clearest signs of long-term thinking. It is easy to perform when there is recognition. It is harder to stay disciplined in private. But what happens in private determines what happens in public. The habits you practice when there is no audience shape the results you produce when there is. Legacy is not built in moments of excitement. It is built in seasons of consistency. It is the accumulation of decisions made over time, guided by values rather than convenience. Legacy is not about speed. It is about direction. You can move fast in the wrong direction and end up further from where you want to be. Moving steadily in the right direction, even slowly, creates lasting impact. In 2026, the pressure to show results quickly will be intense. Comparisons will be constant. Success stories will seem instantaneous even when they are not. The temptation to rush will be strong. But those who resist it and stay committed to the long game will find themselves in a stronger position over time. While others burn out or plateau, they will continue to grow. Patience is often misunderstood as passivity. In reality, patience is active. It requires discipline, focus, and self-control. It means choosing the harder path now so that the future becomes easier. It means delaying gratification not because you fear enjoyment, but because you value sustainability. Consistency does not mean doing everything perfectly. It means showing up regularly, adjusting when necessary, and continuing even when progress is slow. Speed can create attention, but consistency creates trust. Speed can create excitement, but consistency creates results. When you commit to the long term, you give your efforts time to compound. Short-term wins may bring quick satisfaction, but they rarely bring fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from knowing that what you are building will last beyond the moment. It comes from seeing small efforts accumulate into something meaningful. It comes from understanding that impact is not measured by how fast you start, but by how long you can continue. Those who focus on long-term impact accept that the most important work is often invisible at first. They are willing to plant seeds they may not immediately harvest. They understand that progress is not always dramatic, but it is always deliberate. And over time, that deliberate consistency becomes the foundation of something that endures. Living reactively is subtle, which is why it is so dangerous. It doesn't feel like a mistake while it's happening. It feels normal. Messages arrive, demands appear, problems surface, and you respond. One situation leads to another, one obligation replaces the next, and before you realize it, your days are filled with reactions instead of decisions. Life begins to feel busy, urgent, and exhausting, yet strangely unfulfilling. When you live reactively, your time is never truly yours, and your future is shaped by whatever happens to demand your attention first. A reactive life is not planned, it is negotiated moment by moment. Priorities shift based on pressure rather than purpose. You focus on what's loud instead of what's important. Over time, this creates a sense that life is always one step ahead of you. You are constantly catching up, constantly responding, constantly adjusting. Even when you are working hard, it feels like progress is accidental rather than intentional. This is the most dangerous mistake of all because it quietly removes your sense of agency. When your actions are driven by external triggers, you stop asking what you want and start asking what is required of you. Decisions become default behaviors, habits form without awareness. And slowly your direction is chosen for you, not by you. In 2026, intention will separate leaders from followers. Leaders are not defined by position or authority. They are defined by clarity. They decide in advance what matters. They create space to think. They design their days around values, not interruptions. Followers, on the other hand, allow circumstances to dictate their schedule. They move from task to task without a clear sense of why. The difference is not effort, it is intention. Those who design their days design their futures because daily actions compound. What you do repeatedly shapes who you become. If your days are built around reaction, your future will reflect randomness. If your days are built around intention, your future will reflect direction. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is often not talent or opportunity, but how deliberately you spend your time. Reactive living creates the illusion of productivity. You are always doing something, always responding to something, always solving something. But business without direction does not lead to fulfillment. It leads to burnout. When everything feels urgent, nothing feels meaningful. And when nothing feels meaningful, motivation fades. Intentional living is often misunderstood as rigid or controlling. It is neither. It is not about planning every moment or eliminating spontaneity. It is about deciding what deserves your energy before others decide for you. It is about knowing your priorities so clearly that distractions lose their power. Intention provides a framework, not a cage. Direction changes everything because it gives context to effort. When you know where you are going, even small steps feel significant. When you don't, even big efforts feel wasted. Direction allows you to say no without guilt and yes without hesitation. It turns decisions into commitments rather than compromises. Living reactively also increases stress because it keeps you in a constant state of alert. Your nervous system never rests. You are always responding to the next demand, the next problem, the next interruption. Over time, this wears you down mentally and emotionally. Intentional living creates rhythm. It introduces pauses. It allows for recovery as well as effort. In a reactive state, reflection disappears. There is no time to ask whether what you are doing still aligns with who you want to become. You keep moving because stopping feels risky. But without reflection, growth stalls. Intentional living makes reflection a priority, not an afterthought. It builds awareness into your routine. Those who react often feel frustrated, not because they are lazy, but because they are misaligned. Their actions are disconnected from their values. They spend their energy maintaining momentum rather than building meaning. Over time, this creates resentment toward their own life. Even when things appear fine on the surface, intentional living restores ownership. It reminds you that while you cannot control everything that happens, you can control how you respond and where you direct your focus. This sense of ownership increases confidence and reduces anxiety. You no longer feel like life is happening to you. You feel like you are participating in it. In 2026, distractions will multiply. Information will move faster. Demands will increase. Without intention, it will be easy to lose years reacting to what seems urgent but isn't important. Those who fail to choose direction will find themselves busy but unfulfilled, active but stagnant. Direction does not require certainty. You don't need to know every step. You only need to know what matters now. Intention is about making conscious choices with the information you have, then adjusting as you learn. It is flexible, not fixed. It evolves, but it does not drift. When you live intentionally, your days begin to reflect your values, your time aligns with your priorities, your energy is invested rather than spent. You stop living in response to the world and start shaping your place within it. And once direction is established, momentum follows naturally. The most powerful shift happens when you realize that your future is not built in dramatic moments, but in ordinary days. How you start your morning, how you choose your focus, how you respond to interruptions, these small choices repeated over time determine the direction of your life. Reactive living hands that power away. Intentional living claims it back. And in a world that constantly pulls your attention outward, choosing direction over reaction becomes not just a habit, but a form of leadership. Avoiding these mistakes has never been about being perfect. Perfection is an illusion that creates pressure but delivers nothing lasting. The real work has always been about identity. It is about the kind of person you are becoming through your choices, your habits, and your responses when no one is watching. In the end, outcomes fade, titles change, and circumstances shift, but identity stays. That is why who you become matters more than what you achieve. 2026 will not measure your worth by speed. It will not ask how fast you moved, how quickly you climbed, or how many milestones you crossed. It will ask who you became while moving. It will ask what kind of character you developed under pressure, what kind of discipline you built when motivation was absent, and what kind of integrity you maintained when shortcuts were available. Progress without growth in character is hollow, and success without alignment eventually collapses. Many people spend their lives chasing success as if it were something separate from them, something out there waiting to be caught. They pursue achievements believing that once they arrive, fulfillment will follow. But success does not work that way. Success is not something you chase. It is something that follows when your actions consistently align with your purpose. When your daily behavior reflects what you believe, results become a byproduct rather than the goal. Goals are useful, but they are incomplete. Goals tell you where you want to go, but they do not tell you who you must become to get there. Without identity, goals create pressure. With identity, goals create direction. That is why planning goals alone is never enough. You must also plan your standards, because standards determine how you act when no one is enforcing the rules. They define what you tolerate from yourself and what you refuse to compromise. Planning your values is even more important. Values are the principles that guide